Hey guys, let's go in and let's kind of review and evaluate the free agency tracker so far, the full list of the signings for the 2020 NBA offseason, entering the season for 2021. So kind of cover a couple of these players and kind of my hot takes and initial reactions. So Jalen Adams agrees to a two-way contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. That's a good little piece for them on their side. Steven Adams agrees to a 2-year $35 million extension with the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, OKC, of course, did trade him off. They got a first-round pick. Sam Presti out here is just pretty much going to dominate the league with all these different draft picks, let alone cap flexibility. So expect the Thunder the next 4 to 5 seasons to pretty much pull something big. But they got Steven Adams for the Pelicans. I know a lot of Pelicans fans, they're kind of mad about it because Steven Adams is going to clog up the paint. You can't push him out to the perimeter. He can't shoot from outside. And basically, this is a problem for Zion Williamson, playing the 4 and trying to get inside. So, you do have Stan Van Gundy as a coach. I don't know if he's most strategic to play that style or not, but I think they're going to play more traditional with the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, I think Zion and Brandon Ingram and Lonzo are really going to flourish when they're on the fast break, but on the half-court set, it's going to be more traditional basketball. Zion Williamson could still adapt to it, but I thought the Pelicans were going to run with Jackson Hayes before this, but it actually looks like they brought in more centers, and they may let go of Jackson Hayes. That's to be determined, but you got to bring in a center. I'm glad they picked up Steven Adams. I thought the Boston Celtics would have tried to make a trade for that, but the Pelicans are a really good situation as of right now. All right, so Bam Adebayo agrees to a 5-year deal, pretty much an extension, $163 million. The Miami Heat, which kudos to him, man. He's a young cat. They just made the finals. He was a huge piece for their team and for their franchise. So that's something really good for them. They got to keep an eye out on their cap space, of course, for Milwaukee star Giannis Antetokounmpo. Carmelo Anthony agrees to a 1-year deal with the Blazers. I'm glad he did not rejoin the New York Knicks. Man, he's really flourished on the Portland Trail Blazers, and that team and franchises finally knows, they know how to use Carmelo to be on their team. I mean, they picked him up, they made him a starter, they made him play in an offensive system where he can flourish, and he fits very well with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. So, great pick. Portland is around 10 deep. I mean, they made some really good moves, bringing back Enes Kanter. You got Carmelo Anthony back on your team. They brought in Robert Covington. So they got a lot of great pieces. DJ Augustine to the Bucks, 3-year, $21 million. If you're Milwaukee, you probably should have signed him for around a 1-year deal or 2, but I know DJ Augustine pretty much had him and his agent had the leverage, so they had to give him a longer extension. But DJ Augustine, I'm glad he's finally playing on a contender. He's going to be a great backup point guard for their team, and that's not enough for Giannis, of course, but it's nice. Dwayne Bacon, 2-year deal with the Magic, yada yada. Kent Bazemore to the Warriors, so Klay Thompson's out. They need to bring in as many vets as possible. Kent Bazemore I think he's around 28 to 31. He's a great piece off the bench. Aaron Baines to the Raptors for 2 years, $14 million. As we know, the Raptors, they lost Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol, 2 championship starting centers on their, for any franchise basically. I think they're going to be more in a retool, not a rebuild mode for Toronto, but they're going to keep it young with Pascal Siakam, re-signed Fred VanVleet. They're going to roll through their core with OG Anunoby as well, and then you have Kyle Lowry as a vet, so they're going to retool. But bringing in Aaron Baines, that was ideal. He plays very similar towards a Marc Gasol, but he's not on that next tier. But I mean, it's a nice pick. Malik Beasley, 4-year, $60 million with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, I probably would have done more of a 3-year deal, but Malik Beasley, he's been kind of on and off, but with the Timberwolves, they just throw money at you. Davis Bertans, 5-year, $80 million with the Wizards. That's crazy. If you would have said this 3 years ago, people would have thought you were crazy, but Davis Bertans, he'll give you 40% from the 3. Not bad move from Washington. I really would have not thrown that money all towards him, but it is what it is in the NBA. Bismack Biyombo agrees to a deal with the Charlotte Hornets. Bojan Bojanovic, so this was a big one. We thought he was going to get traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, and that was huge for Giannis to have Bogdan and Drew Holiday. They kept Drew Holiday, but whenever it came down to Bogdan, that trade actually did not go through. The NBA was investigating, and the Sacramento Kings did not match the offer as a restricted free agent. So Bogdan's going to Atlanta. I really like that. Trae Young and Bogdan is kind of like a very young and mini version of a Stephen Clay. I'm not going to push it that far out there, but I like the direction Atlanta's going. That was a great pickup. Bol is back with the Nuggets, 2 years. Nice. Jordan Boone with the Magic. Who else we got here? Avery Bradley, 2-year deal with the Miami Heat. He fits their culture, defensive identity. I like that as a veteran presence. And he got $5 million for each of the seasons, so right about the right range. Trey Burke back with the Dallas Mavericks on a 3-year contract. I believe it was around $30 million for 3 seasons, and that's a steal. I mean, Trey Burke is very underrated for the Mavericks and the league. Alec Burks to the Knicks, 1-year deal. Who can care less? KCP re-signing with the Lakers on a 3-year $40 million was huge for the LA Lakers, especially in that starting unit. And pretty much when he picked up, I think around $13 million a season, that's pretty much the peak he's going to get in his career. So kudos to Rich Paul and the LA Lakers. Michael Carter-Williams, 1-year deal to the Orlando Magic. Brought him back. I mean, it's a nice pick, but the Magic need a lot more makeup to do and a direction. They're kind of in purgatory right now. Mavericks got back with Willie Cauley-Stein. That's a nice move. Jordan Clarkson back with the Jazz. 4-year, $52 million. If I'm the Jazz, I would have not thrown him for 4 years. I would have done a 2-year deal, but again, franchises do not have the leverages these days. It's about the players and their agents, so I guess so. DeMarcus Cousins, a 1-year deal to the Rockets. This kind of shocked me because I was expecting the Rockets looking to really move Russ or James Harden. They couldn't find any good deals for it, so looks like they're going to run James Harden and Russ for next season as is so far. Of course, the GM and owner, they want to keep James Harden on the team, so bringing in Boogie Cousins was a pretty good move. They're not playing small ball anymore. They're going to be able to be more traditional. And, I mean, they can go small ball, but they're not going to go the Mike D'Antoni system. Torrey Craig is leaving the Denver Nuggets and joining the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, that's a very underrated signing no one's really talking about. Jay Crowder to the Phoenix Suns, 3-year, $30 million, so the Miami Heat did not re-sign him. The Miami Heat have been doing a lot of 1-year deals because they want to pick up Giannis the next offseason. But Jay Crowder to the Phoenix Suns, man, the Suns have a really nice team. They're going to be in the playoffs for sure, especially with the Warriors with Klay Thompson's hurt. And we don't know what's going to go with the Rockets. So as of right now, I got the Phoenix Suns probably making, that 7th and 8th seed as of right now. See, the Cavaliers picked up Dellavedova again. Okay. Goran Dragic, 2-year deal, $37 million with the Miami Heat. I believe it's a 1v1, so he's got the player option. Chris Dunn to the Atlanta Hawks, 2-year, $10 million. That's somewhat of an underrated pick. Trae Young could finally use another, good backup point guard on his team, so I like the young direction. See, Taco Fall, 2-way contract with the Celtics. Derek Favors is going back to the Utah Jazz, 3-year, $27 million. I mean, it's okay. I mean, the Jazz can do a lot better. They really need to retool a better way with Donovan Mitchell to retain him. De'Aaron Fox, 5-year max extension, $163 million with the Sacramento Kings. Jeez. Another big one was Danilo Gallinari. So Bogdan Bogdanovic joined the Hawks. Same thing with Danilo Gallinari. That gives Trae Young 2 efficient and elite scorers on his team, which is huge because he's been putting the scoring on his back for the last 2 seasons. So the Atlanta Hawks definitely be making the playoffs. Marc Gasol, 2-year deal to the LA Lakers. This is a huge move after they lost Dwight Howard, and then they finally traded JaVale McGee to fill in Marc Gasol. He's a traditional starting championship center on your team. I really like that move. Harry Giles takes a 1-year deal with the Portland Trail Blazers. And the Blazers last season, they lost a lot of their depth from their centers because they were hurt. Now you got a bunch of centers out there. And big bodies, so that's a huge move for them. Jeremy Grant, so he leaves the Nuggets as well, and he's joining the Pistons, 3-year, $60 million. So he doesn't fit with the Pistons because they're in the middle of the pack and they have no direction. Jeremy Grant really flourishes with a contending team, but he's getting paid. So, but the Denver Nuggets, I mean, that's kind of shocking how you lose Torrey Craig and Jeremy Grant. You really need to retool to it. JaMychal Green, he's going to the Nuggets, of course, 1 year. Jeff Green to the Brooklyn Nets. That's actually very underrated for them. They need some of those 3-and-D bodies. Montrezl Harrell to the Lakers. That was a big one. For $19 million for 2 years. I was shocked about that. I was shocked. Mo Harkless to the Miami Heat, 1 year. Kind of that fits their direction. Joe Harris, 4 years, $75 million with the Brooklyn Nets. I didn't expect him to throw that much money at him and that long of a term. I didn't know if he would actually be in trade bait rumors, but that could still be the case. Now this one was shocking for everyone. Gordon Hayward. He didn't join the Pacers. He didn't join the Hawks. He joined the Charlotte Hornets. 4-year, $120 million contract. Wild. He's going to get paid over $30 million a season. And I thought Gordon Hayward was done from his big contract days. But I don't know. I guess the market's weird. It's all about right timing. Other names, Justin Holiday to the Pacers, 3-year. Okay. Rodney Hood back with the Blazers. Dwight Howard, so he tweeted that he was going to join the LA Lakers, bleeding the purple and gold. And then 20-30 minutes later, he changed his mind, and him and his agent agreed to sign with the 76ers. 1 year, $2.6 million. Of course, he's going to back up Joel Embiid. I don't know how his personality is going to fit too well, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Serge Ibaka to the Clippers. That was somewhat of a surprise. We either thought it was going to be the Nets or Clips. I thought the Nets were going to be first because Kevin Durant was recruiting him, but kudos to him. That's a good move for the Clippers. Brandon Ingram re-signs with the Pelicans, 5-year max. Really good for him. Derrick Jones Jr. to the Blazers. Man, the Blazers are around 10-11 deep. They've been making moves like the Suns. What else we got here? Robin Lopez, a 1-year deal to the Wizards. It's whatever. Wesley Matthews, a 1-year deal to the Lakers. Now that was a huge one after losing Danny Green and trading him away. Paul Millsap comes back to the Nuggets for 1 year, $10 million. So that was really good for Denver because they were losing a bunch of guys. Donovan Mitchell re-signs for a 5-year deal. Etuan Moore to the Suns. That's a very underrated pick. Markieff Morris, 1-year deal to the Lakers. That was huge for the Lakers to retain that 4. And then his twin brother Marcus Morris, 4 years, $64 million with the Clippers. Clippers are overpaying him. I don't care what anyone says. But I guess the Clippers, I didn't expect him to throw that much money at him. I didn't think the Clippers would re-sign Marcus Morris, to be honest. But they did. Nerlens Noel to the Knicks, 1-year deal. I mean, kind of roll your eyes on that. Jahlil Okafor, 2-year deal to the Detroit Pistons. I thought, Jahlil's been in a weird spot because he was on the 76ers. They didn't need him as a center there. The Pelicans didn't need him. But with the Pistons, he's going to get more playing time, of course, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of other... Jahlil Okafor's game doesn't really match, and it's not needed in the NBA, really. Bobby Portis to the Milwaukee Bucks, 2-year deal. I mean, it's a somewhat nice move, but Austin Rivers to the Knicks. I mean, I don't know what the Knicks are doing. Rajon Rondo to the Atlanta Hawks, 2-year, $15 million. So he's getting paid around $8 million a season. That's somewhere where I expected Rondo. I didn't expect him to go to the Hawks and be a backup there. I thought he would join the Clippers to be a starter. If not that, then he would have stayed with the Lakers. But, good for Rondo. He's making his moves out here. Jason Tatum, extension of 5 years. Jeff Teague goes to the Boston Celtics. And the Celtics haven't made barely any moves whatsoever. I mean, Danny Ainge has all these draft picks. I mean, you're not doing anything. He didn't trade for Paul George. He didn't trade for Jimmy Butler. He didn't trade for Anthony Davis. I don't know what he's doing. He got very lucky that he got Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown's been fine, but Jason Tatum, he's pretty much the only reason that people aren't really paying too much attention on Danny Ainge. But Jeff Teague, he's a nice backup on there. Tristan Thompson to the Celtics as well. That's a pretty good pick because they need a backup center. Fran VanVleet, yeah, back with the Raptors. Hassan Whiteside recently 1-year deal with the Sacramento Kings. Christian Wood to the Houston Rockets, very underrated signing, 3-year, $41 million. And then, of course, kind of the other NBA players out here. So Anthony Davis is still unrestricted. He's going to go back to the Lakers, but it's not quote-unquote official. But those were some of the hot takes as of so far. Go a little more deeper whenever training camp is done with. We have the full official roster. I'll give my predictions on, seedings for the East and West, power rankings, playoff predictions, finals, and evaluating each team. But these were some of my first takes as of right here. A few surprises, but nothing too crazy to shake the NBA as expected. I think more for next offseason, that'll be the case in free agency. But this one was more about trades. There's a couple of free agent moves that are more like long-term game. But besides from that, wanted it off there.